So today I want to talk about honoring the girl that we used to be and not lamenting, right? Not with regret or sadness, but with compassion because she was carrying a lot of things that she did not have the words for yet. And I don't think I was alone in that. I think many of us were. Most of us were. And from a much younger age than we realized. For example, and if any men are on the video, click off now because I'm going to talk about getting our periods, right? Getting our periods as girls. I still remember that. I was so embarrassed, right? It was like I wasn't supposed to talk about it. Like if somehow it was shameful or gross. And now I think, hold up a minute. The entire human race exists because women have periods. We're all either women or we are sons of women. And that's not a hot take or some kind of staunch feminist stance. It's the truth. And so many of us were taught to treat it like some dirty little secret, right? Don't talk about it. Don't let anybody know that that's happening. Don't make people feel uncomfortable. Oh my God, the most embarrassing thing that could happen is if like a panty liner fell out of your pocketbook, right? Meanwhile, you're sitting in class with cramps and hormones and dealing with all of these body changes and the awkwardness that comes with growing up. And we just dealt with that as kids, as young girls. Played sports, deal with it. Swim, had to figure that out. Going to work, picking up your toddlers. Some women run marathons and do all kinds of heroic things on the first day of their period. This is the crazy things that I think about now as a midlife woman when I'm, watching the Boston Marathon. I'm like, how many of these women are running this race on the first day of their period? Because it's substantial. And we just do it. We don't give ourselves any credit for the things that we manage just by being women ourselves, right? And now that I'm in midlife and well, I'm a little past midlife, right? At 51, I'm a little past that, but I don't have them regularly anymore, right? And so now when it decides to rear its little head, I'm like so inconvenienced and thinking, how the hell did I manage this for 40 years of my life and at 12 years old? But I did. We all did. And we deserve to say out loud that that was a big deal. Because what was the expectation for us? Again, as kids, right? Keep going, act normal, push through. And we did, because that's what girls do. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of it starts, right? The adapting, the carrying, the shrinking, learning how to make everyone else comfortable, being told that it's our job to make everyone else comfortable, and despite what we're actually feeling. I think it really starts then. And then we become teenagers, right? And we're suddenly a lot more aware that people are looking at us, judging us, right? Commenting on our bodies. How many of us, Gen Xers, were on diets before we could drive a car? If you were this complexion, I know that was very prominent as young girls to be told that we were, we needed to eat slim fast or, be on Weight Watchers and Diet Coke, But you'd be so pretty if you lost 10 pounds or, she had such a pretty face. Like we all knew what that meant. It meant that they thought we were fat. And none of us were, right? How many of us look back to the pictures where you thought you were fat? You're like, wow, I wish I was really that fat now. We were just taught to criticize our bodies before we ever learned to appreciate them. And some of us to such a degree that we have still yet to be able to fully appreciate them for what they can do. And again, I don't want to, flame our mothers or anything like that because they were also working with the best that they had, right? Their mothers probably did that to them too. When you know better, you do better. And I think we are one of the first generations who, because of how we were raised, have openly decided to not do this to our own daughters, to celebrate their womanhood, to not make them feel like it's some kind of taboo thing because we remember all of those years that we spent as girls trying to become smaller, easier, palatable, manageable, And the wild thing at the time is it felt normal, right? We didn't think we were being shaped by this or, abused in any way. It was just life. We adapted to our changing bodies, the changing expectations, the roles and responsibilities. We became women after that, right? We built careers, we raised children, we manage households, we support our partners. Sometimes we're caring for aging parents, we're carrying emotional labor that nobody sees. We're holding it together. And somehow expected to make all of that look ordinary. We do make it look ordinary, but it's not ordinary, it's extraordinary. And I think that's one of the things that midlife reveals to us, right? And not because we're wiser or we get everything figured out, but for the first time, we have enough perspective to look back and see what we've actually carried. You know, our kids are growing up. Some of us are empty nesters, or we're dealing with teenagers that are not home anymore. You know, our relationships may be in a different place. We may not be in a relationship anymore. And suddenly we have the time to think about ourselves where we hadn't had that time in a very long time. So these realizations can be emotional, right? We look back and we start to see the girl that we used to be differently. We see how hard she was trying and how much pressure she was under and how often she blamed herself and how often she doubted herself and how much she gave away of herself just trying to be loved and accepted, you know, chosen, understood, all of those things, right? And instead of criticizing her, we start feeling compassion for her. And I think that's why so many women find themselves, you know, in therapy in midlife. And we find ourselves in that same mind frame again, right? Because we're told as we get older that we somehow lose our value. And I could not find that to be farther from the truth. We actually, for me, and I think for many of us, we finally find our value in this stage of life. You know, we start to set boundaries. We question old beliefs. We learn how to love ourselves, maybe for the first time. We're finally meeting ourselves, right? And that's what healing is. The point of me making this video is to talk about a collective experience that we've had as women, and to emphasize the fact that there is power and sovereignty among us, right? We can, and I don't mean power in like a forceful kind of way. I mean like inner power, sovereignty, knowing, you know, we see each other. That allegiance we have to our daughters and making sure that they don't inherit the shame that we had. We can extend that to younger women, right? To each other as women in midlife. We see each other. I'm not here to teach anything or fix anything. I'm just here to honor the girls that we used to be and honor the women that we are now. It's looking back to our younger selves, or even just looking at each other now as women in midlife, saying, I see you. I understand you. You carried a lot. We have a very collective experience together. And perhaps along the way, you deserved a little more kindness than you received. We don't need to have this competition among each other. And we can have the conversations that acknowledge the things that we solely, but collectively experience as women. So part of Midlife Ascension is just developing a community where we can talk about stuff like this. You know, we can get, you know, talk about periods and childhoods and stuff like that, because I think we need to do that, right? At this stage of our lives, we have the time. We need to honor these kinds of things and just say them out loud. And because I think a lot of us walk around not realizing just how important we are. You know, not that we're better than anyone or whatever, but we often don't get to say those kinds of things. Like, hey man, that was a badass thing that I just did. That whole life thing that I managed for 40 years of my life and never complained and asked for any kind of special treatment. That was pretty extraordinary. The fact that we populate the earth, that's a pretty goddamn cool thing. You know? So I really hope if you resonate with this, I know I kind of stumbled through this video a lot. I'm really off the cuff here, but you know, if any of this resonated with you, you're a woman in midlife and you're looking for some community, please join us here. Join me. Yeah, I'm not a guru. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a woman in midlife who learned a lot throughout her 40s and wants to share that, pass that along. So come and join us, subscribe if it resonates for you, and leave a comment. Things that I missed out, things that you experienced as a girl that I may not have touched on that you think deserve some acknowledgement now.